James O'Brien, at last. I was admiring you from afar for the last 30 years, but I never dared to hope that one day I'll be sitting next to you, having a cup of coffee or a mug of coffee.
A conversation that I've known we were going to have now for some time, but I really didn't want to have
I'm
it.
sorry to hear that, James. Forget it. Being wrong and stupid is okay.
And the way you do it and the sophistication with which you do it, that's why I'm saying, like, you know, I know who's going to win in the end. And as long as we've got people like you kind of, you know, steering our ship, I think we're going to win.
It's a good job you did that at the end of this interview, because I'm very emotional to hear that, Jason. Thank you.
No.
And thank you for your time today, Jason Arday.
What's your takeaway here? Because mine is very, very personal. I can't separate the personal from the public. I feel like a mug, actually, is the short answer. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel, oh, you should have done differently or you should have done better, because, I mean, who would? Who would meet a Cambridge professor and immediately start thinking, God, I wonder whether you actually deserve to be a Cambridge... I certainly wouldn't do that. If I was a racist...
Of course you're not a racist.
And I met a black Cambridge professor, then I probably would find myself thinking, yeah, really, black guy, professor, I don't think, but I'm not a racist, so it didn't cross my mind.
This is why you are so loved and so admired by black and Muslims the world over. And women, especially black ones. You believe them. But let's talk about something else.
The fact that I've had with him subsequently that makes me feel like a mug. The fact that he thought I was someone that he might be able to persuade to stick up for him when he knew that he'd done wrong.
I'm so sorry to hear that, James. It's a hard life, always being right. I wish I could empathize with you, but I've never been right in my life, so please...
Presumably a dozen officers. Over 20,000 human beings are dead. Nearly half of them children. So there's an almost unbelievable imbalance there. I wanted to find some comfort or confidence in the idea that the Israeli government is not embarked upon the de facto destruction of the entire Gaza Strip, with little concern about how many people, well, no concern at all about how many people will be displaced.
Yes, you are right again, James. I suppose the right way to deal with a hostile population is not to displace them. It's definitely more efficient to bomb them to ashes, as in Dresden, for example.
During that process, and little evident concern about how many people will die. It's extraordinary when you think about it, that the death toll now is well past the 20,000 mark, with just under half of those people being children.
Again, Mr. O'Brien, you are right. Children are the future and we should protect them. If you fail to do so, we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Prime Minister, the disgraced former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has complained about the Metropolitan Police inviting people passing through this country with any alleged evidence or evidence of alleged war crimes.
The Nazis entered this war under the rather childish delusion that they were going to bomb everybody else.
An investigation into alleged war crimes.
I agree, Mr. O'Brien. War crimes should be investigated and prosecuted. Harshly, if possible.
That would involve presumably a dozen officers. Over 20,000 human beings.
Human beings, right.
Are dead. Nearly half of them children. So there's an almost unbelievable imbalance there.
You're right, James. The number of Jewish children who died in this war is ridiculously small.
The reluctance to talk about it comes from the bleakness of the conclusion to which one is led. That conclusion there, that the policy, the intent is to destroy the entire territory and quite possibly render it uninhabitable for generations.
I don't know about your neighbors, James, but if one of them would enter your house and cook your children in the microwave, would you support his brother's request to occupy the house? That's assuming the neighbor is relocated to prison, of course. which is not obvious.
Two things have happened in the last 24 hours that make it, I think, impossible to avoid that conclusion. The first is a warning from Western leaders against explicit Israeli plans to resettle hundreds of thousands of Gazans in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
That sounds horrible. Obviously, moving 1 million Gaza humans to the Democratic Republic of Congo is a crime against humanity. Just help me out here, James. Who is the victim here? To me, it sounds like a collaboration of two great cultures. The Gazans can help the Congolese natives with cooking tips like microwave ovens. Oh, here's what Germany thinks. Cannibalism is not a generalized culture norm or legal practice in the DRC. International bodies classify these documented instances as severe war crimes and violations of international humanitarian law committed by lawless armed factions. As to the question of whether the Gaza population should move to Congo, well, Germany is not crazy about it. Moving the population of Gaza to the Congo is not practical or accepted proposal. The idea stems from unconfirmed reports of discussions regarding voluntary migration, but it has been rejected by international bodies, and governments involved, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, have denied any such agreements or talks. By the way, speaking of the Democratic Republic of Congo, if you eat your fellow citizen, does your vote count for two? Just a thought.
So one report has suggested that there have been secret talks to send displaced people there. Some Israeli officials, including far right, and that phrase isn't even controversial.
Absolutely. Everyone who thinks we should defend Jewish young girls from, rape or beheading is far right. See? We agree on more than you think.
Members of government far-right ministers have been publicly advocating for the resettlement of Gazans. I don't know what definition of ethnic cleansing you work under or the relevant institutions here work under, but if you take an entire people from their homes.
James, I didn't expect to agree with you on so many points. If you take an entire people from their homes, this definitely is ethnic. You are aware that the white British population of London has gone from 79% in 1981 to 38% in 2021? If this is not ethnic cleansing...
And relocate them to a far-off land, a far-off territory, then that's pretty close, I would have thought, to most people's definition of ethnic cleansing. The West has expressed concern about these supposed plans. The rhetoric, they say, is inflammatory and irresponsible. The African nation is 2,500 miles from Gaza.
Which is the distance between Pakistan and Oldham, give or take a few.
And the way that the story has been picked up on the Times of Israel's Hebrew site, which is called Zman Yisrael, suggests that senior sources believe that the talks have unfolded. They call it the voluntary migration of Gazans to other countries. But how voluntary would it be?
That's a very good point, James. According to Germany, there are about 50,000 Syrians in Britain. I'm not going to argue with Germany. Okay, it's less than 1 million and thousands escape every week, but the point is, Syrians were free to flee their beloved motherland and flood Britain and the rest of the West. The Gaza humanoids are held in the street. According to Germany, generally, Gaza residents are not allowed to live freely. Movement out of the strip is tightly restricted by strict military controls, border closures and a formal blockade, though very limited exceptions exist for extreme medical cases or foreign passport holders. And the only way out is sneaking into one of Greta's boats. And then, James, you're welcome to host one of those families in your garden shed.
If the alternative is a hellscape. 8 minutes after 10 is the time. The second thing that happened on LBC last night, and I don't know if you heard it. It was heartbreaking, actually, because anyone who has feared from, I think it was about a week to 10 days, wasn't it, into the assault. The first week, the case for Israel's necessity, let alone right, to respond robustly, whatever that means, to the terror attack of October the 7th was watertight. Nobody could argue they must, turn the other cheek, as the New Testament would teach. Nobody could argue that. And yet after about a week to 10 days, the sense that something truly horrific had been unleashed was becoming, I think, unavoidable. But you could still argue the toss. You could still cling to the hope that there would be some sort of proportionality.
Ah, yes, proportionality. You see, James, obviously you are a man of logic and reason. Proportionality is a very important topic. It keeps us civilized, and we know that we get what we deserve, no more and no less. If we tweet something against beheading children, we go to jail, and if we behead children, you get my point. But sometimes proportionality can get a little tricky. Why don't we explore the idea a little? For example, we can give the Hamas a few Iron Dome batteries, or better, we can forbid Israel from using the Iron Dome.
Attached. The idea that they wanted, or that the plan was to raise the entire territory to the ground, regardless of the consequences in terms of displacements and death.
Speaking of displacement and death, we should be more sensitive and proportional. We should only kill 1,200 civilians and arrest only 251 people. We should also play football with the breasts of the women we raped, and we should cook one baby and one baby only in a microwave. And then we sign a peace treaty and exchange ambassadors. Am I in the right direction?
Was too horrible to contemplate. So we sort of tied ourselves in semantic knots for a while, condemning it but not calling for a ceasefire in the case of both governments and the Labour Party, although America and the United Kingdom ended up in a tiny international minority on that front. Again, evidence perhaps that we are being shown this bombardment, we're being shown this catastrophic undertaking through a very distorted lens in the United Kingdom and the United States, because the argument, I think, has become absolutely uncontested.
The return
that
of
the
the
Israeli
Saturday,
government
the
wants
hostages.
to raise Gaza to the ground. And I say that because I think that the ambassador to the United Kingdom, the Israeli ambassador to the United Kingdom, essentially told Ian Dale, my colleague Ian Dale, that last night. I don't know if you caught this programme. But she, it's Zippy Hotovelli, speaking to Ian Dale last night, as far as I can tell, and I don't know if I'm using the wrong dictionary, she kind of said it out loud.
One of the things we realised that every school, every mosque, every second house has an access to tunnel. So this is, and of course ammunition.
But that's an argument for destroying the whole of Gaza, every single building in it.
So do you have another solution how to destroy the underground tunnel city, that this is the place where the terrorists hide, where they have all their ammunition, and this is the rockets that are still fired on Israeli cities? You know how Israel started its new year? We didn't have fireworks. We had rockets instead of fireworks.
And I think you have to point out, to the best of my knowledge, very few or no casualties as a consequence of those attacks, while the death toll of Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip smashed through the 20,000 barrier.
Okay, James, let's talk about those 20,000 dead. See, you should be able to quote this timeless mantra of mine without a prompter. Listen carefully so I don't have to come back tomorrow and say it again. If you use innocent people as a human shield, you are the murderer. I don't like to see women, children, or even sheep dying, but if they do, you, James O'Brien, kill them. As I was trying to say, James, if you hold human shields, let's have a little brainstorm if it's okay with you. If an Israeli fighter bombs the place where hostages are held, would you say that the IDF is committing a genocide against the Jews? You don't have to answer.
Instead of fireworks.
So I'm pretty sure the argument until quite recently was that the bombardment was necessary in order to rescue the hostages and to destroy Hamas. But of course, anywhere a terrorist could be hiding, a hostage could be held. So not only is she essentially explicitly stating the ambition to destroy the entire territory, to render the entire territory uninhabitable, she is perhaps accidentally completely abandoning any pretense that anybody cares a jot about rescuing hostages.
Well, it's a bit unfair, James, but I'm coming from the future and somebody gave a jolt and the hostages, or rather, the sausages are, well, free.
If it is a debate, it's almost over. Unless you want to have a conversation about whether or not you support the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. I can't see that there's any other question to be asked anymore.
I absolutely support the right of the people of Gaza to go anywhere. To the Isle of Dogs, if you want me to be specific about it. Or if you don't want Islamic murders in Chiswick, please ask them to go to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where they will be most welcome.
The stated aim now is to raise the entire territory to the ground. And from where I'm sitting, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop them.
That's a very good point, James. Life is a bit cruel that way. You can ask nicely, but if someone is determined to push your population out and you don't fight back, you are not going to be able to stop them. So expect them to kick you out of your house in Chiswick in the not too far future.
And that's extraordinary, really, when you think about it. I don't think anybody is going to be able to stop them. Do you?
Absolutely. I don't think anyone can stop the ethnic cleansing of London. But
Stephen, there is a crowd outside rioting against you tonight, and without the protection and generosity of a Muslim Palestinian president, you would be quite literally cooked.
Territory. Render the entire land uninhabitable. I wonder whether I can ask the question of whether or not you support this. But I'm not sure I can, because I'm not sure I could bear to talk to you.
Yeah, talking to you is not much fun either.
The killing of thousands, the death toll of children alone should be enough to focus the mind of any person. And yet here we are. Here we are listening to the ambassador, the Israeli ambassador in London, justifying what has to be ethnic cleansing, doesn't it? What else could we call it? Well, I'll play it to you one more time and then I'll open up the phone lines.
Every school, every mosque, every second house has an access to tunnel. So this is, and of course ammunition.
But that's an argument for destroying the whole of Gaza, every single building in it.
So do you have another solution how to destroy the underground?
Oh, just before you go back to your flock of multi-colored sheep, James, let me tell you a little about the Israelis you like, otherwise known as the deep state. To those people, saving the innocent population of the enemy is more important than protecting the soldiers. In fact, at 7 o'clock in the morning of the 7th of October, 100 lawyers were at their desks and they started hunting soldiers and stopping the Air Force from taking off. It's a long story, which those of you who read the Galactic Underground posts should know, but it might interest you to know that half the foot soldiers who lost their lives in Gaza died entering buildings that the Air Force didn't feel like flattening, trying to avoid the killing of innocent humanoids. By the way, on October 7th, the Gaza population has left the human race, and I don't want to insult my cat or any other animals. And just so you know, at least 70% of the Jews in Israel think exactly like me. So James, if you don't want to live in a tent, try not to invade Israel, because the word proportionality has just been erased from the dictionary. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
So, for example, being in this space with you, James, I've followed your work for the best part of 15 years. You know, at no stage in my life did I ever think I would meet you. And the work you've done, not only has it inspired a generation of people, of social activists, you know, and people of the like, it's given people hope, because I do think our voice is getting completely drowned out. And I think what you do is provide almost a lighthouse to the issues. You bring an honesty to the